Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, let's talk about how an avoidant acts when they know that they hurt you. This is interesting because this can be triggering for you guys because when an avoidant acts guilty, depending on if they're healed or if they're more healed, it's actually like sometimes it's very cold and they actually double down on their attachment issues, which makes you confused. I've had some calls recently with you guys. I'm not sharing anything specific where you feel like you made a mistake or you think that you did something wrong when in actuality that's not actually what happened. They're actually guilty because they feel really bad that they did something to you. And so what you do is actually they're supposed to be the one that apologizes, but you're apologizing and over apologizing for something that they did. And now it makes them feel even worse and more guilty. So now they start shutting down and having these negative behaviors. And then you come to me and you say, I don't know what's going on. And I will tell you pretty much directly. You guys know in these calls I'm direct. I don't like wasting your time or your money. Hey, I think that they're guilty that they hurt you. And this is what you can do, right? And we talk about those solutions in calls. And so if you need that, that's pinned in the comments. But I want to organize this into two parts. Unhealed avoidance versus avoidants who are more healed because they act different and it's very confusing. And I don't want you to be confused, which is why I make free videos for you guys so that you know what's happening because these relationships, yeah, you guys love each other. Some of you guys are married to avoidance. And so it's not so easy to say, hey, let's just get divorced, right? You guys have kids, you're married, maybe you've been together for like 4 years. Whatever the situation is, it's not easy to just leave somebody that you love. It's not. And relationships are so hard. Who knows who the next person's going to be, right? And so let's try and figure this out as much as we can before making dramatic, assumptions, situations, right? So let's talk about the unhealed avoidant. How do they act when they're guilty that they hurt you? How do they behave? The first one is the most common one, which you guys get confused about. They avoid talking about the topic and they get irritated when you bring it up. This doesn't mean that you have to tolerate this, but I do want you to know why it's happening. They're very hurt that they did something to hurt you. And so what I would suggest is you can say, I understand. I don't want to talk about, you don't want to talk about, I can appreciate that. I just hope that we can see improvement on both sides. You can leave it like that. You still want to prompt them to improve. And a lot of times what they even might do is you're right. They might say, you're right. I'll improve or yeah, we'll work on it. I don't want to, talk about it anymore. I feel like we're just beating a dead horse. Give them space because a lot of times avoidance, them feeling irritated about the topic inwardly, they are going to solve it, but they need space to do so because they're also very embarrassed that they hurt you. And so they do need space. If you see that there is no improvement after a while, I challenge you to bring it up. But if you see that there's a little bit of improvement, go ahead and give them that space. Sorry about the camera shake. The next one is that they downplay what really happened. Okay. So I want you to understand that downplaying is different than acting like it never happened. I'm not saying they're acting like it never happened. That could be a personality disorder. I'm saying that they might downplay it because they're embarrassed. Okay. Now, imagine you did something when you were younger, okay? This sounds strange, but this is kind of how it feels like. I'm sorry if this makes it like childish for you guys, but I'm just trying to help you understand what it feels like for an avoidant, okay? Let's say you did something embarrassing and kind of hurtful when you were younger. You were a kid, and like you kind of just don't want to talk about it. Like you want to downplay it, you want to move on from it, but it's not because you don't recognize that what you did was silly. It's because you recognize that version of yourself is no longer you, so you kind of don't want to like talk about it too much because it's embarrassing. And so downplaying would mean, let's say you did something silly when you were little. Maybe you made a silly remark because you were a kid and you're like, yeah, I know that was probably inappropriate of me, but I was just a kid. That's what you want to say because you're so embarrassed because you really hate that you said that. That's kind of the feeling. And so they're downplaying it because of that feeling. So it's not that they're downplaying it like they're saying, what are you talking about? I never do that. I never did that. You made that up. That's not downplaying. Downplaying is like, yeah, I know I'm a little harsh. Like I do that, but it's because I am this way. Like they're kind of downplaying it, putting it under the rug, but it's not, they want to resolve it. So again, give them time. And if they don't resolve it, bring it up, but give them a chance to prove you otherwise. Because if they're unhealed, often they're not really sure where to start. So they just need more time. The next one is they might make excuses why it happened, but I want you to listen to those excuses because yeah, they're excuses, but they also are, again, coming from that embarrassment, right? I know I did that. It's because I had a long day at work. You can say, okay, I hear that you were a little stressed. I still want you to be mindful. That's how you respond to the excuse. You want to acknowledge the excuse, but still put back what you're also saying, okay? The next one is usually, Yes, definitely this is for fearful avoidance, more particularly. Dismissive avoidants do that too. They might make a promise to change, but it's often broken. Like they quickly make a promise and they're really trying to, they're almost like begging you to accept them and understand that what they did is wrong and that they're going to change, and they don't follow through. Okay. This just means that they still have a lot of healing. Obviously, we're talking about unhealed avoidance, but I want you guys to understand that there's still some truth to why they did this. I'm not saying to put up with it, but I am saying I want you to know that they had some willingness. And what I would like for you guys, if you'd like, is when the promise is broken, call them out gently about it. You can mention, you said that you would work on this. Is this something you still want to work on? And if they get mad and say that's too much pressure, back off a little bit and then come back again, maybe a week, a month or two, and see how they feel. Because often that reaction to, saying it's a lot of pressure is because somewhere inside they want to also improve. So the next one is, it's not very common and it's more common with fearful avoidance, but this is something that if this is happening, I want you guys to step back and kind of set some boundaries because this is unhealthy. Usually they may have a lot of trauma, personality disorders, etc. They're actually trying to change your mind of the reality of it. It is something that we touched on very briefly earlier. They're literally trying, it's like a form of gaslighting, right? They're trying to change your mind because they're so embarrassed. They're using a very maladaptive technique. Do not bend to this. Mention that's not what I remember. Sorry, that's not what I recall. I remember A, B, and C. If you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to. This is my recollection of it. I'm sorry, that's just what I remember, right? You can keep it very brief. And often, if they have a very strong issue, personality disorder, they really need therapy, and you might need something more stronger than just this video, right? But if it's something where it's just brief, usually setting that boundary can really resolve that, okay? The next one is they often feel very guilty in general, and they're trying to manage those feelings, and unfortunately, they may break up with you. Yes, unhealed avoidance, they might break up with you if they're feeling very guilty, but they're going to come back. And so what I like to tell you guys, if you guys have had calls with me, you know this, when they come back, don't bring it up again. Wait a little bit, build rapport, and then bring it up. Okay, so a healed avoidant, what do? They actually apologize, but they don't over apologize. It's going to be really brief. I'm sorry, let's move on. But they mean it. Take that for what it is. They'll get stronger on it, okay? The next one is they want to explain what happened, but normally it's to add clarification, not necessarily to make an excuse. It's the same reasoning, but they just are more clear about it. They might say, maybe I raised my voice a little bit. I shouldn't have done that, and I feel really bad. I'm working on my anger. I do want to mention part of the reason is because I had a really difficult conversation with my boss that morning, and I took it out on you. I should not have done that, right? They're adding clarification because it helps you to know, okay, it's not me. Partly it's because of the boss. They're saying it so that you feel better, even though it sounds like an excuse. It's usually to add clarification. The next one is they do make effort to change, and it's visible. With a lot of avoidants that are healing, you will see that this change is like relatively quickly. Like sometimes it's incredibly quick to the point where it's like the next second. And so give them a chance to prove that, and then you'll see more continuous improvement. Now, the next point is the most common with avoidance across the board, but especially if they're healing, they ask for recognition for their improvement. Go ahead and give that to them. That'll help them to feel a little better. So I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.